I was watching something today. It was a clip. I think he was a civil rights activist, but he was talking about the irony of Black people adopting individualism and this idea that we're all unique and we're all different and we're all special. And he was talking about how, if that was the case, why do millions and millions of Black people buy Cokes? Millions and millions of Black people buy Nikes.
White people are individualistic. White people are materialistic. And I think Dr. Clark is absolutely correct in the definition of Black civilization, African civilization. Communalistic, whole concept is different. But the white man's individualism and materialism stems from the fact that he comes out of a situation, a place where you could hardly live. The barren land where you could hardly grow, no resources, where they had to fight each other just to keep alive, and where each person had to try to steal all he could to keep somebody else from getting it so he could stay alive. Now that builds individualism and materialism. Now he didn't have much in the way of materialism, but he had the need, the desire, so he built ships, he built guns, everything in order to take something from somebody else. Now you got to realize that the Black man came up in a wholly different kind of environment, where there was everything that a person needed. They didn't have to cheat and lie and steal to get enough to eat. Enough to eat was everywhere.
Basically, he was making the argument that we're a lot more similar than we realize. We're a lot more of a monolith than we like to let on. We're just monolithic in unproductive, even counterproductive ways.
Yeah.
And similarly, the women that I've had the pleasure of interviewing are literally a reflection.
Of you?
Of what's in the world.
Oh, okay.
Of the world.
Okay.
Right? Like, they're not extremes. They're not only fangirls or IG models or ex-strippers. They're not these extremes. They're just regular everyday people. So to answer your question, I think it has a lot to do with and I say this humbly, with my ability to get the truth and interrogate the inconsistencies to then get to the truth. But I don't. There's no woman that I've interviewed so far that I would say deviate so far from the norm. Not one. Even the ones that you might assume do, she's not that different, bro.
That's interesting then, because that to me implies that at least the perception of the majority of women is different than what I perceive the majority of women to be.
Absolutely. Because you're looking at them through a different lens. Like, one of the common rebuttals that I get sometimes, and you've used this on a number of occasions.
What?
My friends aren't like that.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody like that. Where do you find these women?
I started thinking to myself, who is the most eligible bachelorette that I know in my life that I don't think is part of the problem, but still can't seem to find love? And suddenly a light bulb went off in my head. My best friend Risa. She's 31, she's single, and she has yet to meet the man of her dreams, which very well could be one of you.
Nice.
Now, again, even that response is ununique. It's uninteresting because I've heard it a lot. A lot of men have heard it. But what that tells me is that we are looking at different metrics of evaluation. So similarly, interrogate any female friend group, they're gonna tell you that every girl in my group or most girls in my groups would be great partners. And I don't understand why Shirley doesn't have a man or Bertha doesn't have a man. Well, that's because you're evaluating her like you would evaluate a man. So she would be a great man. But again, in a world where men have a different curriculum and our expectations of women, you cannot see through the lens of a male's curriculum why she's not a good woman to a man, because she would be such a good man if she was a man.
So in your head, are women in two categories? I don't want to project that onto you. What categories do you put women in? Because obviously not all women are the same.
Sure.
In my head, I have an idea of two categories that I would think men separate women out into. But what categories do you think men categorize women into? How do you guys sort them?
How do we sort them? I wish I had a clean answer, but I don't. I don't have like a Kevin Samuels.
Yeah.
Well, you got the one and the big. Nah, I don't have that big. Yeah, maybe one day I'm gonna sit down and really.
That'd be a good one.
Really hash the shit out.
It's a good framework to go by.
I would say if I had to say two categories, it'd be women you play with versus women you take serious.
Okay, because I was gonna say like wives and then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
playthings.
okay.
Yeah, so if I was to be just completely simple, I would put it into those two categories. However, those lines could be blurry at times, especially for young men. Because number one, they might not be ready to be husbands, and number two, they might not have the insider experience to be able to differentiate the two.
Right.
And women are, what is not unique about women is that women are really good at playing each of those parts, regardless of depending on the occasion. So you can never tell, because she could be a plaything for man number one and be a wife for man number two.
I think that's a good point. I think the same applies to men, because I saw something, and I've thought about this before on my own as well, that a man, even if you've dated the same man as Crystal over here, you and Crystal may have gotten two completely different men, because based on how he sees you and when you got him in his life, your experience may be completely different with that same man.
In as much as I do think men have range, women's range dwarfs men's. I will say that. And I think just, based on women's nature, like there are a lot more dimensions and even the possibility of additional dimensions with women, just based on your nature, that I don't know, I'm not gonna say men don't have, but I don't know if we have or we appreciate. Because not only do you have dimensions and range of dimension, you also have an appreciation, which even creates more dimensions. So the difference between the girl guy A got and guy B got, I think is completely different. Like it could be literally two different women than the difference between woman A got versus woman B got. Men tend to not be that. We might pivot a little bit, you might turn a little bit, but women can literally become a different person. Even literally, like niggas been going to the same barber for years. Women change her hair every 2 days. You know what I'm saying? And even the viral thing you see on Instagram sometimes, he wants to see multiple women. Then you see the woman change her wig and her hair and literally become multiple women. And there's an appreciation and a celebration of women's ability to do that.
Hey, if you've made it all the way to the end, please click that like and subscribe button. Also share this with somebody that you think would gain value from it. Click the thumbnail at the top if you want the full video. Click the thumbnail at the bottom if you want a video that's closely related to this. Again, like, share, subscribe. Appreciate you guys for watching. Check out some more of our content. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.